in the glittering heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierced the sky like diamonds on a velvet night. A storm was brewing, not in the clouds, but in the shadowed alleys where dreams went to die. Imagine this. Two identical twins, barely 16, their faces smudged with the grit of the streets, kneeling before a man who held the power of life and death in his surgically precise hands. Their mother lay dying in a makeshift shelter, her breast shallow echoes of a life unraveling. But what if I told you that a simple birthmark could unravel a web of secrets buried deeper than the city subways? Buckle up, because this isn't just a story. It's a revelation that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about family, fortune, and fate. Elara and Alicia had always been inseparable, mirror images of each other with raven black hair that fell in wild waves and eyes like stormy seas. Born into poverty, they learned early that survival meant scavenging for scraps in the underbelly of Manhattan. Their mother, Mira, was their anchor, a woman with voice like silk and a spirit forged in fire, but now ravaged by a mysterious illness that no free clinic could diagnose. "It's in her blood," the overworked doctors had muttered, shaking their heads before turning to the next patient. But the twins refused to accept defeat. They had heard whispers of Dr. Julian Hawthorne, the billionaire surgeon whose innovative treatments had saved presidents and tycoons alike. His clinic on Fifth Avenue was a fortress of glass and steel, guarded by security that turned away the desperate like flies. One rainy evening, as thunder cracked overhead, the twins made their move. Dressed in threadbare coats that did little to shield them from the downpour, they slipped past the doorman with distraction, a feigned collapse from Alicia that drew just enough attention for Elara to dart inside. They found Dr. Hawthorne in his opulent office, surrounded by awards that gleamed under crystal chandeliers. He was a towering figure, mid-50s, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that could dissect a soul as easily as a scalpel cut flesh. "Please," Elara begged, her voice trembling as she dropped to her knees, Alicia mirroring her every move. "Our mother's dying. She's all we have. You have to help us." Julian looked down at them, his expression a mask of detached professionalism honed from years at the top. Homeless kids weren't new to him. The city was full of them. But something in their faces, perhaps the raw desperation or the uncanny symmetry, stirred a flicker of curiosity. "Why me?" he asked, leaning back in his leather chair. "There are hospitals for this." "Because you're the best." Alicia shot back, her chin lifted defiantly. "And because we think you might understand." She pulled up her sleeve, revealing a small, star-shaped birthmark on her inner wrist. Elara did the same, the marks identical, like stamps from another world. Julian's eyes narrowed, but he waved them off. "Birthmarks mean nothing. Get out before I call security." Yet as they turned to leave, something compelled him to glance at an old photo on his desk, a faded image of his late wife, holding a bundle in her arms, a similar mark peeking from her cuff. His heart skipped. No, it couldn't be. He had lost his family years ago in a tragic accident, or so he believed. Against his better judgment, Julian agreed to see their mother. They led him to a derelict warehouse on the outskirts, where Mira lay on a pallet of cardboard, her skin pale as moonlight, her breathing labored. As he examined her, drawing blood samples with a portable kit, the twins hovered like guardians. "She's been like this for months," Elara whispered. "Fevers, weakness. The doctors say it's genetic." Julian's test confirmed it. A rare blood disorder, one he had pioneered a treatment for. But as he prepared to administer an experimental serum from his clinic's vault, he noticed something on Myra's neck, a faint scar, and beneath it, the outline of that same star-shaped birthmark. His hands froze. Memories flooded back. His wife, Amelia, vanishing after a heated argument about his workaholic life, taking their unborn twins with her. The police had declared them dead in a car crash, but no bodies were ever found. Could this be? The serum worked its magic, stabilizing Mira as the color returned to her cheeks. But as she stirred, her eyes locking onto Julian's, a gasp escaped her lips. "You!" she murmured, recognition dawning like a storm breaking. After all these years. The twins exchanged confused glances, but Julian's world tilted. He demanded answers, his voice sharp. Mira, weak but resolute, began to speak. "I was Amelia. I faked the accident to escape your world. The endless nights alone, the danger from your enemies in the medical industry who threatened us. I changed my name, raised the girls in hiding. But the birthmarks, they're from your family line. Proof they're yours. Ilera and Alicia's eyes widened in shock. Ours? Ilera echoed. You mean he's our father? Julian staggered back, the room spinning, but before he could process, a shadow moved in the warehouse doorway. A figure in black, one of his old rivals, a disgraced farm executive who'd sworn revenge, stepped into the light, a syringe glinting in his hand. You thought you could hide forever, Hawthorne? Now I'll take what's yours, just like you took my empire. The twins lunged forward, but the man was faster, injecting Mira with something vile that made her convulse. Julian roared, tackling him, but in the chaos, Alicia felt a prick in her arm, the same toxin. As darkness closed in, she clutched her sister's hand, the birthmarks aligning like a key to a lock they never knew existed. Julian, fighting for control, realized this was no coincidence. The illness, the beggar's plea, it was all a trap leading back to his past sins. But what secret did the birthmarks truly hold, and how deep did the conspiracy go? Julian's fist connected with the intruder's jaw, sending the man reeling into a stack of rusted crates that crashed like thunder in the cavernous warehouse. The syringe skittered across the concrete, its deadly contents spilling in a viscous trail. But the damage was done. Myra's body arched in agony, veins bulging beneath her translucent skin as the toxin raced through her bloodstream. Alicia slumped against the wall, her vision blurring, the same fire burning in her limbs. Ilera screamed, rushing to her sister's side, while Julian pinned the attacker down, his knee pressing into the man's chest. Who sent you? Julian snarled, his polished veneer shattered, revealing the ruthless determination that had built his empire. The man, Victor Lang, a name Julian hadn't uttered in 15 years, laughed through bloodied teeth, his eyes wild with vengeance. You did this to yourself, Hawthorne. Victor spat. Stealing my research, burying my career. I waited. I watched. When I learned about Amelia's survival, about the girls, it was perfect. Make you suffer the way I did. Julian's grip tightened. Victor had been his partner once, co-developing the very serum that had saved countless lives and made Julian a billionaire. But ambition had fractured them. Julian exposed Victor's unethical trials on vulnerable patients, leading to his ruin. Victor vanished, presumed broken. Now he was back, orchestrating this nightmare. Ilera, tears streaming down her face, cradled Alicia's head. Stay with me, Liz. Please. Her twins' birthmark seemed to pulse faintly, a cruel reminder of the legacy tying them to this chaos. Mira, fighting the poison, reached out a trembling hand toward Julian. The birthmarks, not just family. They're markers. Julian glanced back, confusion cutting through his rage. What do you mean? But Victor twisted suddenly, a hidden blade flashing in the dim light. Julian dodged, the knife slicing his forearm, blood welling instantly. He countered with a precise strike to Victor's throat, rendering him unconscious, for now. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone must have heard commotion. Julian scooped up the spilled syringe remnants and his medical kit, racing to Myra's side. I can counteract this, he muttered, more to himself than anyone. Drawing from his emergency vial, the antidote prototype for his own experimental drugs. He injected Mira first, then Alicia. The girls' identical physiology worked in their favor. The toxin spread similarly, and so would the cure. Myra's convulsions eased almost immediately, her breathing steadying. Alicia groaned, color creeping back into her cheeks. As police burst through the doors, flashlights sweeping the scene, Julian stood protectively over his newfound family. Officers cuffed the unconscious Victor, reading him his rights as paramedics swarmed in. Julian flashed his credentials, taking charge. These are my patients, my daughters. The words felt foreign on his tongue, yet undeniably true. In the ambulance en route to his private clinic, the truth began to unravel further. Mira, propped on a stretcher, with IVs dripping stabilization fluids, gripped Julian's hand. The twins sat nearby, holding each other, wide-eyed at the luxury of the medical transport compared to their street life. "The birthmarks," Mira whispered hoarsely. "They're not ordinary. Your family lineage. Hawthorns have carried a genetic anomaly for generations. Enhanced healing, heightened intuition, but also vulnerability to certain engineered toxins. Victor knew. He weaponized it." Julian's mind reeled. His own rapid recovery from injuries, his uncanny diagnostic instincts. It all stemmed from this? Why hide it from me? "Because your grandfather used it," Mira continued, her voice gaining strength. "He experimented on people during wartime, creating super soldiers with altered DNA. The star mark was the identifier. When I discovered your research edging too close, reviving those old projects for medical advancement, I feared you followed the same path. I left to protect the girls from becoming lab rats." Alara leaned forward. "So we're what? Superhuman?" "Not quite," Julian interjected, bandaging his arm. "But resilient. That's why the initial illness mimicked the blood disorder. I treated the symptom. Not knowing Victor induced it to draw me out. At the clinic, under fortified security, Victor was transferred to federal custody. But as agents interrogate him, whispers emerge of a larger network, remnants of the old Hawthorne experiments, a shadow syndicate seeking to reclaim the genetic edge for profit or power. Victor wasn't acting alone. He was a pawn, activated when surveillance spotted Mira years ago. The twins, now in clean gowns, underwent full scans. The results stunned the medical team. Their DNA matched Julian's perfectly, confirming paternity, but with amplified markers. "They're the purest carriers we've seen," a geneticist murmured. "Potential for groundbreaking therapies or weapons." Julian shut down the discussion immediately. "They're my daughters. No experiments." Days blurred into a whirlwind of adjustment. The warehouse life faded as Julian moved them into his penthouse overlooking Central Park. Rooms filled with warmth they'd never known, closets bursting with clothes, meals prepared by chefs. But trust came slowly. Alara, the bolder twin, challenged him constantly. "How do we know you're not like your grandfather?" Alicia, quieter, observed, her intuition, enhanced by the mark, picking up on subtle lies none else caught. One night, as snow blanketed the city, a breach alert shattered the peace. Security feeds showed masked figures scaling the building. The syndicate had come for the girls, viewing them as the key to resurrecting the program. Julian armed the defenses, his clinic's tech rivaling military grade, but the attackers were prepared, jamming signals, deploying drones. "Get to the safe room," Julian ordered, handing Mira a pistol she'd surprisingly known how to use from her hidden years. The twins refused to hide. "We're in this together," Alara declared, grabbing improvised weapons, scalpels from the medical supply. Alicia nodded, her eyes glowing with determination. The fight erupted in the corridors. Flashes of gunfire muffled by silencers, shadows clashing in hand-to-hand. Julian took down 2 assailants with surgical precision, disarming joints before they could fire. Mira guarded the rear, her shots accurate from survival instincts honed on the streets. But the leader, a woman with a cold, familiar gaze, cornered the twins in the library. "The Hawthorne heirs," she purred, her own wrist bearing a faded star mark. "Your great-aunt, actually, exiled for refusing the experiments. But now I see the value. Come willingly, or we'll take your DNA by force." Alara charged, but the woman was trained, sidestepping and injecting a sedative. Alicia dodged to follow up, tackling her aunt, the birthmarks brushing as they grappled, a strange energy pulsing between them, like recognition on a cellular level. Julian burst in, subduing the woman, but not before she activated a beacon. "More are coming," she warned with a smirk. "The secret's out. Every agency, every black market geneticist will hunt you now." As reinforcement arrived, Julian's private security overwhelming the intruders. The family regrouped, battered but alive. Mira revealed hidden files she kept. Coordinates to a safe haven, an island lab abandoned after the wartime projects, where the original research was buried. "We have to go there," she urged. "Destroy it all before they weaponize what's in your blood." The twins exchanged glances, the weight of their legacy sinking in. Julian nodded, realizing redemption lay not in his wealth or fame, but in protecting what he'd almost lost twice. They boarded a private jet under cover of night, destination unknown to all but them. But en route, turbulence hit, not weather, but sabotage. Alarms blared as the plane dipped, a traitor among the crew revealing syndicate infiltration deeper than imagined. Alicia, clutching the armrest, felt her mark burn, a premonition flashing. Betrayal from within the family tree, a branch they hadn't yet uncovered. As oxygen masks deployed and the pilot fought for control, Elara whispered, "Whatever's on that island, it's not just destruction waiting. There's something alive down there." The jet plummeted toward the Atlantic, engines failing, and in the chaos, a hidden compartment in Julian's briefcase ejected, a vial labeled with a star symbol, glowing faintly, as if awakening to the crisis. Myra's eyes widened in horror. "You brought it? The enhancer?" Julian's face paled. "Insurance. In case." But before he could explain, the plane shuddered violently, heading for impact, secrets and bloodlines converging in a descent that could end everything, or unlock powers none of them were ready to wield. As water rushed toward the windows, the twins linked hands with their parents, the birthmarks aligning in a perfect constellation, energy surging through them like a shield forming just in time. As the jet hurtled toward the unforgiving Atlantic, a symphony of alarms blaring like a dirge, the Hawthorne family clung to each other in a desperate embrace. The birthmarks on their wrists, those enigmatic stars, throbbed with an otherworldly heat, syncing in rhythm with their pounding hearts. Julian's briefcase vial, the enhancer from his forbidden research, shattered open in the turbulence, its luminescent contents aerosolizing into the cabin air. A shimmering mist enveloped them, seeping into their pores, igniting the latent potential Mira had feared all these years. Elara's eyes widened first, a surge of clarity cutting through the panic. I can feel it," she gasped, her voice steady amid the chaos. Visions flashed in her mind, not memories, but foresight. The plane's wing clipping a rogue wave, the fuselage crumpling, but a force field of bioenergy repelling the impact. Alicia nodded, her intuition amplifying tenfold, sensing the traitor's sabotage in the engine room. A mechanic bought by the syndicate, now cowering in regret. "Trust the marks," Mira urged, her own scar awakening, granting her a burst of strength despite the lingering toxin. Julian, the skeptic turned believer, felt his wounds knit instantly, his mind sharpening to calculate trajectories and contingencies. Together, their aligned birthmarks pulsed as one, channeling the enhancer's power into a collective shield. The air hummed with electricity, the mist coalescing into a barrier that enveloped the aircraft. The impact was cataclysmic, a thunderous roar as metal met ocean. But instead of oblivion, the plane skimmed the surface like a stone on a pond, the energy field absorbing the force, dissipating in sparks of ethereal light. Water sprayed against the windows, but the hull held, buoyancy restored by an inexplicable lift. The pilot, regaining control, radioed for emergency landing on a nearby atoll, his voice trembling with awe. "What the hell just happened? It's like we were protected." As the jet taxied onto a makeshift strip on the syndicate's abandoned island lab, fate's ironic twist. The family emerged into a tropical dawn, unscathed but forever changed. Palm fronds whispered secrets in the breeze, and the ruins of the old facility loomed like a forgotten temple, overgrown with vines that had horrors beneath. Julian led the way, his enhanced senses detecting hidden traps. Pressure plates wired to alarms, cameras long dormant but now flickering to life. "This place, it's where it all began," Mira explained, her voice echoing off rusted walls as they descended into the underground bunker. Holographic displays activated their approach, projecting ghostly images of Julian's grandfather, a stern figure in a lab coat, detailing the star-marked experiments. He engineered the anomaly during the war, splicing genes from ancient artifacts, rumored meteor fragments that granted resilience to early humans. The marks aren't just identifiers. They're conduits for a primordial energy, dormant until activated. Elara and Alicia, their powers blooming like night flowers, explored side chambers. Elara's strength manifested physically. She shattered a locked vault door with a single push, revealing shells of vials identical to the enhancer. Alicia, the seer, foresaw ambushes. They're coming. The syndicate's fleet is en route, drawn by the beacon. Julian's face hardened. Then we end here. They rigged the facility with the very explosives left from wartime stockpiles. But as charges were set, a deeper chamber unveiled the ultimate secret. A cryogenic pod humming with life. Inside lay a figure. Julian's grandfather, preserved, his vital signs faint but steady, the star mark on his chest glowing eternally. He's alive, Julian whispered, horror mingling with revelation. The old man had faked his death, sustaining himself on the enhancer, waiting for heirs to continue his legacy. As the pod hissed open, the elder Hawthorne stirred, eyes snapping open with mad genius. My bloodline, you've come to awaken the stars. But the twins recoiled. No, Elara declared, her voice resonating with newfound authority. We're here to bury it. Alicia's visions confirmed. The grandfather's revival would unleash a global hunt, turning the anomaly into a weapon for eternal wars. A fierce confrontation erupted. The elder, augmented by decades of self-experimentation, lunged with superhuman speed. Julian parried, his surgical precision matching the old man's fury. Mira flanked, her survival instincts turning her into a whirlwind of strikes. The twins combined forces, Elara's strength pinning him, Alicia's intuition predicting every move. In a climactic surge, their birthmarks aligned with his, siphoning the energy back, draining his immortality until he crumpled, a husk of ambition defeated. As syndicate helicopters thundered overhead, the family detonated the charges. The island erupted in flames, a pyre consuming the pods, vials, and records, eradicating the Hawthorne curse forever. They escaped on a hidden submersible, the enhancers misfading, but leaving echoes of power in their veins. Months later, in a quiet villa on the Amalfi Coast, far from New York's glare, the Hawthornes rebuilt. Julian shuddered his clinic's controversial wings, redirecting his billions to ethical research. Cures without exploitation. Mira, fully recovered, painted landscapes that capture the soul's resilience, her scar badge of survival. The twins, no longer beggars but beacons, channeled their gifts subtly. Elara founded shelters for the homeless, her strength lifting communities. Alicia advised on global crises, her foresight averting disasters. Yet, whispers lingered. In boardrooms and shadows, remnants of the syndicate hunted faint trails. But the family was vigilant, their bond unbreakable. One evening, as sunset painted the sea in gold, Elara traced her birthmark. It wasn't a curse, she said softly. It was a key, to family, to power we choose how to wield. Julian smiled, wrapping an arm around Mira. And we chose light over darkness. Alicia nodded, gazing at the horizon where stars began to wink. The real secret? We're not defined by blood or marks. We're forged by love, by the fights we win together. Their story rippled outward, inspiring tales of redemption, whispered in city streets and boardrooms alike. From rags to revelation, the homeless twins who begged a billionaire had not just saved their mother. They redeemed a dynasty, turning a shocking secret into a legacy of hope. As viewers, you've journeyed through betrayal, power, and triumph. Imagine what hidden stars lie in your own story, waiting to ignite. The end is just the beginning. Subscribe for more epics that twist fate and touch the soul.